Ooh, Bad Larry.
What's up, Kingdom? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Bad Larry. Today's episode is, well, interesting. This is part 16 of the Inferno series, Daredevil issue number 262, written by INFERNO and drawn by John Romita Jr. This issue is dated January 1989, so in the Inferno timeline, we are still at the initial stages, basically the start, and see how everything unfolds through the eyes of the characters involved with Daredevil. As an adult, I evaluate everything now through a lens of experience, well, my unique experience. As I've aged and started to uncover things like subliminal messaging exists, writers' insertion of themselves into stories, as well as inserting their political or sexual preferences into the characters or stories, art imitating life, and so on. Once I understood, and we as society understand, that most things, not all, but most things have an inherent bias or some underpinned message built into nearly all media, it is hard to not see these ideologies manifest themselves in our consumed media, whether it be TV, music, movies, books, and comic books as well. It is naive to believe the social justice warrior campaign, the insufferable social and political messaging of some current comics that completely alienate and vilify the reader and ruin stories and characters for the sadistic joy of the artist or writer is something that only modern comic readers have to suffer through. Going back to these older comics, I thought there was going to be a refuge from these insufferable SJW writers and artists. I was wrong. Once you understand the writer of this comic, Innocenti, a little more, you will understand my points a little more. This cover is the first clue. At a glance, it just seems like Daredevil is fighting some alien or robot. His clothes are ripped, no big deal. Well, the writer Anne is a hardcore third-wave feminist, taking a normal, everyday household item like a vacuum cleaner, to them, chokes the life out of Daredevil was done purposefully. The vacuum, historically used by housewives, would look like a torture device to someone with Innocenti's values. She despises the vacuum cleaner because of what it represents, the patriarchy. To her, the vacuum cleaner represents a ball and chain, a whip the man uses to keep his wife in line. Anne hates men and the patriarchy, so she attaches herself to this character Daredevil, a real man who has no fear, a masculine alpha male, and her mission is to show him broken and tormented as payback, vengeance through art. She ensures that Daredevil's clothes are ripped, showing he is not whole. The fact he is on his knees shows he is literally bending the knee to the device, the vacuum cleaner, that Anne feels kept women as domestic slaves for so long. And the fact that the vacuum, which also is a metaphor for sucking the life out of something or also cleaning it, purifying something, is choking Daredevil around the neck, representing all the women of domestic abuse who have had their husbands choke them. It's all symbolism. You may think that I'm thinking too deep into it, but am I wrong? If you are a third-wave feminist, you would love this cover. It's an artistic orgasm for you. But for the rest of us, the regular dudes who love and respect the character Daredevil, you hate this cover. It's a 0 out of 10 fail. I see this as a man and I don't want to read it. I don't want anything to do with it. I pass it up and then I check how long this Innocenti is the writer on this book and sigh as I realize her run went for far too long in my opinion. Plus, the line work seems unfinished. I know this is typical Romita Jr. style, but it seems worse than usual. Maybe because he just didn't want to draw it in his heart of hearts. I'm sure if you ask him about it today, he'll reply with some cucked out retort. But in his true heart, he knows his dad, John Romita Sr., a guy who created super manly characters such as the Punisher, the Wolverine, and Luke Cage, would not approve of him doing this to a character like Daredevil. If you can't tell, I'm not so particularly happy with this cover. Well, let's get into the actual book. It's titled, quote, I found me in a gloomy wood, astray, end quote. Anne is telling us all she's smarter than us. Look, I read Dante's Inferno. I went to a fancy liberal college. You probably don't even understand the reference. Well, it's not that clever. Dante's Inferno is a story about how Dante, the author, views hell. And obviously this Marvel tie-in series is called Inferno, dealing with limbo and demons. It's not that clever. It's a bit on the nose. Some gargoyles who have become demonically animated jump or fall from this building. Check out my Inferno series if this is your first look into the series, and evaluate the different ways some of these artists have drawn demons or demonically possessed objects. Romita Jr.'s style is quite linear. Not much or any cross-hatching. Use of concentration of lines to represent his shading style is very unique to him. I find his line work to appear unfinished, too light for the eye to catch, and with the color pattern it almost seems as if you're looking at the picture with Vaseline in your eyes, or your eyes are blurry and can't focus. So let's say it's 1989 and I'm a dude or a kid and I spend 75 cents on this Daredevil book only to realize it is a Black Widow and Karen Page book. The old switcheroo, the waddy-ta, the gotcha sucker by Ann Nocenti. Why, as a third-wave feminist, would she allow the actual hero and name holder of the book, Daredevil, a man, be the main character and star of his own book? No, it must be female-driven! And that's what we get here. Daredevil book and name, but it's girl power book for sure. Not only that, we get the political greenhouse gases narrative driving why the city is so hot. This is part 16 so far in this series, and it's the first time the writer has included this climate change, greenhouse gases, fear-mongering into the tie-in. All the other books have made reference to the heat, but have never politicized it like this one has. Black Widow makes another political remark about tax money and corruption, and has Romita Jr. drawn the city like a shithole it is. And in 40 years, with all the left-leaning mayors of the city, has anything changed? No. In some aspects, it's gotten worse. Just YouTube Brooklyn right now, and you'll see it looks worse than a third world country. So, Karen, Black Widow, and these bratty kids are looking for Daredevil. Mainly Karen. Well, I am fully aware that the story has demons in it, and that the premise is that Limbo is trying to come to Earth's dimension. But this page is just too far in my opinion. It's past artistic expression and storytelling. It's past cringe. This is the mind of Ann Nocenti. It's real evil, not good. Before we continue, I want to include this dissociative identity disclaimer symptom checker for any of you who might be or might know someone who might have or one or more of these symptoms. If you or someone you know is presenting with any of these symptoms, especially number 9, the self-harm symptom, please contact your healthcare professional for help. Here is another cringe attack on God using the subliminal tactic of word completion. Just because you separate words from each other doesn't mean our human brain won't try to connect those words back together. Separating God is from is hell with the characters in between is again not coincidence. It's subliminal. It's satanic. And then we move to Mary. The Mary personality, walking dangerously on the edge, again, not by mistake, it's by design. She's having thoughts of ending herself. Again, this is supposed to be a kid's comic book. It's too heavy, in my opinion. Don't walk on the edges of train track bridges, kids, or anybody. If you're having these type of thoughts, talk to someone. Get some help. But Mary is just one of these ladies' personalities. Mary is timid, quiet, a pacifist, and has no powers. The creator of this character and writer of this book, Ann Nocenti, sees regular women who are not feminists as this Mary character. She is the weakest version of this lady with no powers, while the most powerful version of her, Bloody Mary, has access to all her mutant psionic powers like telekinesis, pyrotechnic powers, and the power to hate all men. and Nocenti is Bloody Mary. This is the idea that all women can transform from Mary the weakling to Bloody Mary. And then you can be powerful and be like Anne, a powerful man-hater, the final form of the third wave feminist. In the middle, the form personality is called typhoid, lustful, adventurous, and violent. But to Anne, these things like lust, especially for men, is something to progress from, which is why typhoid isn't the final form. To achieve full power for Mary, she must be sadistic, achieving her pleasure from others' pain, mainly men's pain. Harkening back to the cover, seeing Daredevil being choked out by the vacuum cleaner is Bloody Mary, aka Anne's sexual sadistic fantasy for sale to the public. By page 6, we still haven't seen Daredevil. The issue is only 22 pages long, 1/3 of the way through, and the reader still hasn't seen the titular character. All the action and interesting characters are women. These people like Anne, given the chance, just can't help themselves. They must self-insert. They must emasculate. They must preach to and vilify the reader. They must destroy the patriarchy. They must impose their sexual and political beliefs every chance they can get. And in every medium of art that is beautiful, balanced, and designed by men, they aim to destroy. You ever wonder why those protesters, I call them that loosely, the Just Stop Oil protesters, almost always seem to be women throwing orange paint or soup on famous works of art, priceless pieces of art that are done by men? They can't create these arts like men. They are angry about that, and they look to destroy it. It's psychotic. And that's the person writing this book. I mean, look at Anne's hair. She is Bloody Mary. And when you see her main influence is Robert Crumb and start researching Robert Crumb, you will realize just how deranged and out there this lady, Anne Nocenti, really is. Page 7 of the comic book, and we finally see our hero. He's face down in the trash. The symbolism is that he has been thrown away, which is what Anne wants to do. Toss a man like Daredevil into the trash. See him suffer. It's her sadistic, twisted fantasy. The vacuum cleaner, what's it even doing there? This is why I say these symbols are purposeful. Out in the open under a bridge, what is even the vacuum cleaner doing there? It's unlikely for an item like this to be in this location. Its purpose is symbolic, which I covered in the opening. Daredevil is dying, which is why the art fades to nearly nothing but lines and yellow highlights. It's bad art, plain and simple. The teachings of Daredevil's mentor and trainer, Stick, a psychological manifestation of him, which is now part of Daredevil's essence, is trying to motivate him to stay alive. Anne won't allow Daredevil to have actual strength of character. No, she must have him dependent on this Stick character, you see. Anne can't have Daredevil strong and resilient. She must depict him as weak at the core, which is why he must use this false motivator to keep him alive. Anne loves it. Daredevil is broken. He was beat up by Typhoid, a woman, and is now shown broken, dying, weak, and pathetic, tossed out with the trash, rained on. This is how Anne gets her kicks, people. She's sick. This is one of the most cringe pages I've ever read. Anne has really drugged Daredevil to the bottom and is kicking him while he's down. Daredevil is whining like a little bitch. Quote, I don't want to heal. I don't want to go out there. It's scary out there. Don't make me. I don't want to be born. WTF is this? The man, literally without fear, is, according to Anne Nocenti, a little bitch baby boy full of fear. Man, I can hardly read this issue. It's cringe. If you are unfamiliar with Stick, this character, he's a martial arts master that uses a stick and makes his followers suppress their emotions like hate and fear, allowing them to develop enhanced senses or even magical powers. And continues to ride Daredevil like a snoveling, wimpy bitch boy who wants to die, while we move to the stunning and brave female heroes of the story. The demonic energies are making all the citizens more hostile, more crazed. Some punk throws a hypodermic needle at Karen Page, almost hitting her, sticking into the trail handrail. This is to show that Karen has been addicted to drugs before. The evil energies sense that and tempt her. But the stunning and brave Karen is able to move past the drugs because she is stunning and brave. Karen wants to speak to the police manager. Man, her name really fits her. All the cops are male and incompetent. That's what Anne wants us to see here. Daredevil is missing, and the only one who could do the job is the stunning and brave Karen. By page 11, we still see our hero, our real hero, face down, dying and about to be choked out by the little vacuum cleaner. Feminist revenge model. Anne keeps portraying his authentic self to be a little weak baby boy man with no fight left in him. You could argue that he is fighting to live, which is why we see the ghost of Christmas Stick trying to save him. But Daredevil doesn't have a split personality disorder. Stick isn't some cosmic entity that comes to Daredevil in the astral plane of existence. No, Anne just cannot have Matt Murdock, the man, save himself. She just can't. It must be something or someone else. And in this case, she uses this guy, Stick, as a red herring, a magic trick, to drag this part of the story along, not allowing Daredevil to die, but keep him suffering as long as possible, near death, and show his true character as weak, and have some other character save him. The stunning and brave Karen and Black Widow go to Matt's law office. It's trash, the radio is going berserk, and the bratty kids wander into the elevator. Why? Where were they going on their own? And to tie in to the other Inferno books, the elevators try and kill the kids. But luckily, the stunning and brave Black Widow, the real hero of this book, according to Anne, will fight the elevator. Because women have been fighting elevators with glass ceilings, people. It's symbolic. Luckily, the real hero of this story, according to Anne, Black Widow, stunningly and bravely does some real hero stuff. Jumping into action, climbing ropes, and fighting the patriarchal elevator system. Breaking the proverbial glass ceiling of comic book heroes. Daredevil, who needs him when you can pay 75 cents for a real hero who is clearly stunning and brave. Braver than that little bitch boy Daredevil who doesn't even want to be born because he's too scared of the outside. Well, according to Ann Nocenti, the third wave feminist man-hater writer of this book. Oh, and if you hadn't noticed, Romita Jr. drew Black Widow so stunningly and so beautifully. I had to take some of these stunning and brave portraits and show them again at the end because they are so stunning and to look at. I mean, Black Widow doesn't look manly or ugly at all. If you think she does, you're a bigot. She's stunning and brave. Did I say stunning? She's stunning. By page 18 of a Daredevil comic, our hero is still on his belly, looking like he's being seriously violated by this machine. It's like we're seeing Ann Nocenti's feminist revenge porn here, while also suffering through the psychosis of Mary. It's insufferable. Oh, Daredevil did something! He beat the vacuum cleaner with his bare hands! Bravo! But not to be outdone, because Ann Nocenti can't have a man do something cool without a female doing something cooler. Well, Mary unlocks Typhoid, doing super fast ninja sword skills, much, much cooler than Daredevil. And as soon as Daredevil achieves a new level, meaning he decides he doesn't want to die, Mary gets an even bigger upgrade with Typhoid, unlocking actual powers of telekinesis, some mind control powers, some fire powers. Much bigger upgrade than Daredevil because Anne is a narcissist feminist who cannot allow a man to achieve something greater than a female, especially when the female is her being inserted into the comic. And then Typhoid, all powerful like with the giant sword phallus in her hand, laughing, and the wimpy Daredevil all busted up and broken, dirty on the ground like a piece of garbage. It's like a cat playing with her food prey. It's all very BDSM, very sadistic, very feminist revenge porn. It's cringe and insufferable. Like I said, I wanted to include the stunning and beautiful renditions of Black Widow by the oh so talented Romita Jr. I mean, isn't Black Widow so stunning and brave and beautiful here? Brother, On the surface, this issue was Daredevil fought a vacuum cleaner while Black Widow fought an elevator. Those with discerning eyes, though, can see the true evil, vile, and sadistic art that is coming out of the mind of Innocenti, disturbing and unnerving. I rate this issue as a major pass. I give it 0 out of 100. There isn't one page in this book I enjoyed. It is the worst thing I've read in a very long time. I'm sorry you had to witness this as well. Episode 17, next issue, will feature the Power Pack Kids in Power Pack 42. It can only go up from here, from this Daredevil issue. Thanks everyone for the support. Hit that like button, subscribe so you never miss an episode. Be good to one another, and I'll see you real soon. Peace.